In this video, we're going to focus on Maya's use of marking menus. Marking menus are just a gestural way of bringing up menus within the Maya scene and accessing functions that would normally take a menu selection or essentially a little bit of extra time to grab. So the way these work is, or one way of looking at these is one that we've seen in another video, and that is the Hotbox Centre marking menu. So if I hold the hotbox down by holding the spacebar down, we can just swipe up in one direction and to the left and to the right, and you can see that my camera changes just by swiping in a direction. Now what's actually happening here is if I left mouse button click on this Maya Center button, you can see that I get a directional sort of indicator that lets me go west, east, south, north, and make a selection, but I don't have to select this explicitly. All I have to do is swipe, and that is enough to choose whatever it is that I happen to be needing to select at that particular moment. And as you start to use these, you really don't have to have anything up for any great length of time. So if I want to switch to my side view, it's just enough to just swipe to the side with that spacebar held down just for a split second, and really quickly I can go back to the perspective view as well. So in the last video we looked at the hotbox, and one thing you may have noticed is that there's this little X, or sort of virtual X, that goes through the hotbox or surrounds the hotbox. And what that does is indicate a set of quadrants that give you access to marking menu sets around the hotbox. So we can go to the north quadrant, and this gives you access to layouts of the different panels inside of Maya. The south quadrant will change the panel that you happen to be working on, and since we've already talked about user interface elements, I'm going to use this one as an example, and we'll talk about panels and arrangements in the next video. And then over to the right is a way of just parsing out different selection sets. So if we go to the right quadrant, you can see that quickly I can turn the helpline on, the time slider, and the range slider, and never do those menus come up for anything longer than a split second. So if I want to turn on, if I am in my scene here and I want to start animating really quickly, I might want to turn on the time slider and the range slider, and that's all I ever see when it comes to turning those on. Of course, as you start to learn them, you might want to pull those up and look at them, but your muscle memory quickly learns where those happen to be. So the toolbar comes up to the right there. We can turn on the channel box, the help line, and the command line. And the last one, I think we've already got the status line. Actually, we don't have that on. Let's turn on the status line and the shelf. So just like that, we've mimicked the functionality that we learned in the first video, which is turning on and off these interface elements. So again, we can turn off the status line. There's just toggles. Status line and the shelf, rather, the toolbar, the channel box, the playback slider, range slider, command line, and help line. And really quickly we get back to our wide open interface, and we've toggled all of those on without having to bring up this menu and click through whatever it is or read through the different menu set to turn on and off those individual elements. So that is a quick look at marking menus.